The following is an Infinity One Productions presentation, keeping it honest, insightful, interactive. Covering the latest in wrestling and beyond, you're listening to the RCWR Show, Weekend Edition, with your host, Lisa Sanders.
Lisa Sanders coming at you right now with an all-new Weekend Edition of the RCWR Show on February 23rd, 2013. What's up, everybody? I hope you all are having a good jump start to that weekend so far. As always, you know we guys love to hook you up. We have the chat room loaded for you all at blogtalkradio.com/the RCWR Show. Feel free to jump in there when you get a free moment. Also, you can take the time out to interact with us during the course of this episode by hitting us up on Twitter at Infinity1Prod. And for a little bit of news you can use, do us a huge favor, check us out on Facebook at Infinity1Prod, where we cover so much more than wrestling. We dip into a little bit of everything. Now, on today's show, I'm going to be joined by special guest, radio personality Lisa Snyder, host of Live with Lisa, putting that nice, great touch of sports in a woman's perspective. She's going to be joining me at the 2:30 mark. That's 2:30 p.m. Eastern. So make sure that you stick around for that. We're going to go in depth about the latest problems that's been happening with the Olympic Committee's decision to remove pro wrestling from the 2020 Olympics. That just has everybody in a huge uproar. You know how we do it over here on our weekend edition of the RCWR Show. We cover a little bit of what all you might have missed from this week's WWE, TNA, also hook you up with the very latest in wrestling-related news and beyond. So without any further ado, boys and girls, let's go right ahead. Go right ahead, as I was trying to say there. And let's jump right into it. So let's rewind it back to what had went down on WWE Raw this past Monday night, where the pinpoint for Monday's episode was The Rock unveiling the new WWE title, signifying perhaps the end of an era in John Cena. Remember, there are 8 years of dominance out of those 10 years that John Cena has been with the company. We have just seen John Cena be that poster child for the organization. He has been that guy that has been the face, bringing in all the money, the merchandise, you name it, the heartbeat of it. And it looks like finally, we heard the rumblings about this new title design for at least 18 months. We heard that WWE was trying to figure out the right circumstances to reveal a new title. And, you know, what I thought was a little more interesting, not necessarily the unveiling of that new title, but the man that unveiled it as a very interesting topic, surprisingly did not make it to our coverage this past Tuesday night on the RCWR Show, Tuesday Night Wrestling Report with myself and Diamond K. You know, it was a very interesting topic that I meant to bring up, but we got so lost into a ton of other stuff. I think this definitely is good that we're talking about it now that a few days has passed and we all have had a little bit of time to marinate on it. The question can't help but be asked, was Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson the right one to be unveiling that new title? Some would argue that it should have been CM Punk. After all, he held the title for 440-plus days, and that really should have been him that should have unveiled it. Others just feel if it couldn't have been CM Punk, it definitely should not have been The Rock, because it's a slap in the face to the boys that have been there day in, day out, year after year. Quite honestly, from a marketing standpoint, I think it was the right thing to do to go with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Everybody's talking about it. Everybody's talking about him being back with the organization. Everybody's enjoying the fact that this time around he's been making more appearances for the company than he has in previous years. And honestly, it's WrestleMania season. And, hey, what better way to get people talking then by bringing up a new WWE title. After all, The Rock is going to be everywhere. Just think about it, guys. He's already out there promoting his new movie, Snitch. Go check it out now. It's been getting a little bit of mixed reviews. I'm actually going to be seeing it this weekend with my little girlfriend, and I'll let you guys know what I had thought of the movie, as I will provide an honest review this Tuesday night on the RCWR show, which you'll be able to catch at 11 p.m. Eastern right here on blogtalkradio.com. But, you know, every single month, at least for the next 4 or 5 months, Dwayne Johnson, he has a movie that's going to be coming out. And, I mean, honestly, it's good timing right now. All the publicity that he's doing, WWE Champion, showing off that new title, being able to put in that good plug for the company, putting in that plug for WrestleMania, biggest event of the year, their version of the Super Bowl, their version of the NBA Finals. Hey, smart move right there. Rock definitely the right way to go. Now, let's talk about the main setup that's going to be coming from Raw next week, as really the job that was laid out this past Monday night, they set up, without a doubt, a strong episode next week where we're going to see WWE Chairman Vincent Kennedy McMahon make his return, but not in the way that you would think. This isn't going to be one of those Vince McMahon pops up, he talks, everybody listens. No. This is going to be one of those Vince McMahon is coming back to kick somebody's ass night. And the person that he's going to be fighting, as he put it bluntly, is going to be none other than Paul Heyman. Remember, folks, it was just 3 weeks ago we had saw Brock Lesnar deliver that devastating F5 to the WWE chairman, which had resulted in Vince getting hip replacement surgery there. So looks like Vince McMahon, not exactly at 100%, wants to beat the living crap out of Paul Heyman in the middle of the ring. Now, you and I, boys and girls, we know that this is the setup for Brock Lesnar, Triple H. We know it's going to happen. We know Brock Lesnar is going to get involved in this match. This match may not even happen. I would suspect that this is probably, if I'm setting this up right, in a segment format. I believe that this would be the final segment you want to go with to really send people going home, going ooh and ah. I think this is probably going to be the last burning image that we're going to see of the night. Paul Heyman, Vince McMahon, looks like they're about to get it on. Hell, we might actually even see a couple of minutes of these two fighting, and then all of a sudden we're probably going to get Brock Lesnar. He's probably going to come out there. He may attack Vince McMahon, but mark my words, on top of Brock Lesnar popping up next week, I definitely would suspect that Triple H is going to be getting all up in his face. So we got some really great moments to check out there next week. Not to mention, it's highly possible we could be seeing the return of the dead man, The Undertaker. Let's not forget, we got that huge main event match of epic proportions right here. It's going to be CM Punk taking on John Cena for his WrestleMania 29 spot. If CM Punk wins, he gets Cena's spot. He goes on to WrestleMania to face Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson for the WWE title. However, if John Cena wins, well, you know what that means. CM Punk is going to have to go to the back of the line and try to figure out another way that he can be a part of WrestleMania. Hey, there's always access. But a lot of people, and I definitely would agree with some of these storylines that you all are putting out there, and a lot of you guys, I got to give some of you all some mad props. You all have been very vivid with the way that you see Undertaker popping up next week. I've heard some wild stuff here, but I'm definitely in agreement with you all that no doubt Undertaker, if there was ever a time for him to interfere in a match that had just great significance, it would be that CM Punk versus John Cena. A lot of you are thinking he's probably going to interfere in that. Should be a very interesting tale to see what's going to be going down. But for a more in-depth look into what all went down from Raw this past Monday night, highly would encourage you all to go backtrack. Rewind, be kind, rewind, go check it out in the archive section, iTunes, Zune, Stitcher Marketplace. Use the keywords, the RCWR show, and for the very latest and what you might have missed from WWE Raw, very latest in wrestling-related news, check out me and co-host Diamond K on Tuesday nights at 11 p.m. Eastern right here on Blog Talk Radio. Name of the show is the RCWR Show, Tuesday Night Wrestling Report. All right, we saw main event from this week, which was a very damn good main event at that. We actually had got not a 1, not a 2, not a 3, but we had got a 4-shot dose of, well, it's the Big Show. Man, if you were to tell me that Big Show would be dominating main event for almost the whole hour, I would sit up and say, I just don't see how that's possible. Okay, maybe for 30 minutes, that's one match, but Big Show for almost close to 45 minutes there, I just don't see that happening. Well, that's exactly what had happened with this particular match. And let's set this up for you guys properly. Now, Big Show, he came out rattled, pissed off that Alberto Del Rio has just been humiliating him just week after week after week. First, he just beats him in that last man standing match. Then you follow that up with another last man standing match. Then you follow it up with a singles match. You follow up with the shenanigans that had went down on Smackdown, where he destroyed Big Show's tour bus and dumped a bucket of paint on him. You follow all that up, and you have Big Show lose to Del Rio via submission at the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view. Big Show, he just does not know where to take out all his frustration, the source that is. So he channels it the way that he can possibly, which is by bashing the SmackDown general manager, Booker T, pointing out that it's Booker's fault that he has been in this weird fiasco that he's been in over the course of these weeks, and he feels that Booker T's agenda is nothing more than to humiliate him, while really it's Alberto Del Rio that's been doing the job. And he actually takes a pot shot at the entire WWE locker room, saying there isn't a rejected wrestler in the back that cannot lace up his boots. Well, stepping up to the task would be Jimmy and Jay Uso, the Uso brothers. 2-on-1 match right here, handicap at that. Big Show, good strong outing right here. He actually picked up a win over the Usos. But wait, we're not done with Big Show yet. You know how main event is. They like to bring in that shock value, make you stick around, want to check it out. And Jimmy and Jay Uso, that was surprisingly a damn good handicap match. How can you top that, folks? Well, we got to see Big Show take on Funk is on the roll. That's right, Brodus Clay. These two, remember, a couple of months back there, if I'm not mistaken, Brodus Clay, he actually got a WMD by the Big Show. Brodus Clay, not really forgetting what Big Show had did to him a while back there. He tried to step up to the challenge, take on the 7'2", 500-pound giant. He came up short as well. Well, you think that might be it, right? No, boys and girls. Next person that came out to challenge Big Show was none other than the Great Khali. Surprisingly, this was decent. I must say, it was decent. Saw a little bit more of the Big Show doing the offense and going on the defense. He was really carrying this match right here, but Big Show even defeated Great Khali. Talk about a gauntlet match that we had going on here. You just wondered if this was going to be the case for the entire hour, as the next person that stepped up to Big Show was The Miz. And after this actually didn't even go down, the match itself. We just saw Miz at commentating with Michael Cole. He took off his headset, and he had a few words with Big Show, and he actually tried to get in the ring, throw it down with him. Big Show actually did not want any part of The Miz. He just simply walked out of there and that was it. I've never seen Big Show in all my years sweat so profusely the way he did on Main Event. That man was working hard for the money, as he had rolled out. We did see a brief cameo by Brad Maddox, who was talking briefly with Matt Stryker, pretty pumped up about his new role as the assistant manager to Vicky Guerrero. Well, really, it's assistant to Vicky Guerrero. Basically, Brad, go give me some coffee. Brad, give me some donuts. Brad, make sure that the bathroom looks pretty good. So, I'm looking at this particular segment right here, and I'm wondering, okay, Brad, where you're going to go now? That's my whole take. But it's nice to see that WWE is trying to figure out ways of utilizing Brad Maddox. We did see one more match, and you would think that after all those things that I just named that went down with the Big Show, how could it get any better, right? Well, it did get better. We got Justin Gabriel. He was in action against Titus O'Neil. That was a pretty good match, good way to close it out. We actually saw Justin Gabriel pick it up right there. Main Event, though, truly, every time I turn around, I'm always asking the same question week after week when it comes to Main Event. And I've gone on record many times, and I think many of you can definitely be in agreement. If you've been listening long enough, you all know I always give Main Event great praise. I always say it's the most well-produced, executed show that WWE has out of the whole week. A lot of times, and this is no joke, I actually know people that look more forward to checking out Main Event than they do with WWE Raw. That says a lot right there. Main Event, truly a damn good show. You're always wondering, how can Main Event top what they did next week? And somehow they are always able to top what they did the week before. I don't know how they're able to do this, but they just are. So good stuff right there. All right, we're going to take a very brief commercial break. And then when we come right back, we will cover the fallout from this week's TNA Impact Wrestling, as it was Impact's last night out there in London, as now they're going to be coming on back to the U.S., and they're going to be in the Orlando studios for just a couple of weeks. As you know, TNA, they're gearing up to take Impact Wrestling on the road permanently. We'll give you the 411 on what all you might have missed from this past Thursday night. And, hey, we're just getting started. We still got to talk about what had went down on Smackdown. We'll also cover the very latest in wrestling-related news. Not to mention, we'll take a look at what had went down with Jack Swagger there, as he had got arrested after the Smackdown tapings this week. A lot of serious problems that is ahead for Jack Swagger, as it is looking as though his WrestleMania spot is up for grabs. We're just getting started, folks. You're checking out the RCWR show coming at you on February 23rd, 2013. We will be coming right back, folks. Do hang tight.
For news you can use, like us on Facebook during this commercial break at Infinity One Productions.
Hey guys, Black Avenger Lee Sanders here. By chance, did you miss out on a recent episode of the RCWR show or Impact Showdown Radio? Or maybe you want to rewind it back to a classic episode? Well, we got an app for that, and we want to tell you about it. It's the podcast app, and it's available in the iTunes store. All you have to do is download it. It's a free app, and then from there, just type in the keywords, the RCWR show or Impact Showdown Radio, and you'll be able to subscribe to us. It's that easy, as you'll be able to play and download all our episodes as you are on the go. Episodes available for all your respected iDevices. Now, for those of you that do not have that, and you're outside of the iDevices, you have Android, smartphone, etc., we got an app for you all. It's the Stitcher app. And with that, you'll be able to play all our episodes respectfully. So check that out. Stitcher, new and smart way to play internet radio.
Weekend edition of the RCWR show is back. Black Avenger, a.k.a. the Black Azrael, Lee Sanders with you all. All right, so let's pick right up with the very latest and what you might have missed from Impact Wrestling. This past week, as seen on Spike TV, The pinpoint that we want to address from Thursday's show had to do with Hulk Hogan announcing Jeff Hardy's number one contender that he'll be facing at the Lockdown pay-per-view that's going to be going down in San Antonio, Texas on March 10th. Shockingly, it was no other than Bully Ray. Now, keep in mind, Bully Ray, he was pretty banged up last week, and he did address being the new number one contender. He said to Hogan, you know I'm injured, right? You know there were other guys you could have went, but you're going with me. What's going on here? Well, Hogan, he basically felt that Bully Ray has always been consistent, and that if anybody could do a hell of a job and give Jeff Hardy a real challenge at Lockdown, it's going to be Bully Ray. So Bully Ray is that new number one contender. But, you know, as myself and Diamond K had pointed out on Thursday's Impact Showdown Radio, which you can check out on blogtalkradio.com, you know, we brought up very valid points, which is, okay, with just 2 weeks until Lockdown, is there enough time to properly build up some type of a rivalry between Jeff Hardy and Bully Ray? And we both agreed that really there isn't enough time, that this should have already been announced a couple of weeks prior so that we could have seen some type of a program build up between these two men, let alone you have the problem that there's two baby faces here. I mean, both of these guys. Now, we know Bully Ray likes to sit up and say there's nothing about him that is good. He's just pure bad. But the way that he's been acting on TV as of late, it has been that of a baby face. We all can be in agreement of that, especially him trying to get in on Hulk Hogan's good side, and he's found love in Brooke Hogan, and just, you know, it's, you know, he kind of reminds me of Superman 2 there, where Clark wanted to be rid of his powers so he could live a civilian life with Lois, and all of a sudden everything's just all peaches and cream and all that silly crap. You know, it just kind of reminds me, just a little hint of that when I see Bully Ray making this whole mushy babyface turn. But I'm getting a little sidetracked. We both were in agreement that there's just no way you have enough time, unfortunately, to build up a proper match with these guys at Lockdown. And you're kind of led to believe, if you're a TNA wrestling fan, you're kind of led to believe that, okay, this is definitely going to be a W for Jeff Hardy. There's just really no strong indication that Bully Ray has a shot at winning that TNA title. Now, before you guys jump on me, don't get me wrong, it's going to be a good match that they're going to have. No doubt about that. But there's just not really enough you can sink your teeth into to really get behind this match as far as a storyline. I'd be a little bit more sold on this if maybe after the pay-per-view these two guys continued on, and maybe it could eventually culminate in another match that they can do. At least I would hope. But that was the main point that had went down from Impact this past week. Also, we got crowned a new Knockouts champion. That's right, the one and only, letting those pigeons loose, Miss Velvet Sky. She had became the new Knockouts champion, defeating Tara, Gail Kim, Miss Tessmacher, and a little bit of a battle royal elimination match, if you want to call it that. All the girls had a very beautiful outing. I mean, really, they did one hell of a job getting Velvet Sky over right there. You know, it's funny because soon as Stone Cold Steve Austin, WWE Hall of Famer, mind you, had found out that Velvet Sky had won, he personally had sent her a message on Twitter letting her know he was very proud of her and offer his congratulations. So, hey, nice to see Stone Cold. He knows a pretty good knockout when he sees it. My opinion is a little bit different from Steve Austin, with all due respect. I still feel that Velvet Sky has just a little bit of a ways to go. She's a little bit rusty right now. Not quite where she was when we last saw her. And if you guys have been listening long enough, you know how critical I've been of Velvet Sky. But I am, for the record, very happy that she is the Knockouts champion. Hopefully this title reign will last a little bit longer than her last one, which, if I'm not mistaken, only lasted about, I would say, a month before Gail Kim had returned and she had got the title next. So hopefully we can see something stretch out over the next couple of months. And with the way TNA now has these pay-per-views set up, kind of led to believe that, without a doubt, we'll definitely have Velvet Sky as champion at least for 2 months there before they can come up with whatever angles they want to try to come up with, should they decide they want to go into another route with a new Knockouts champion. For more on what you might have missed from Impact Wrestling this past week, highly encourage you to check out Impact Showdown Radio. It's available in our archives. Check it out. It's on Zune, iTunes. Just use the keywords, the RCWR show, or you can use Impact Showdown Radio. You'll be able to find it that way. You're checking it out on your desktop. You're going to be in front of it all day, or you got your iPad device, whatever. You can actually check it out in our archive section at blogtalkradio.com. Just use the keywords in the respective search engine on there, the RCWR show. You'll be able to find it. Me and Diamond K, we went very in-depth about what all had been going down with Jeff Hardy not being on the UK tour, Hulk Hogan being very critical of Jeff Hardy not being there, and if he could have it his way, who he would have liked to have seen as the TNA champion during this whole contract negotiation period for Jeff Hardy. And it was a really great episode that we did this past week. It's actually met a lot of great reviews, although we did have a little bit of negative energy, but we'll get into a little bit more on that in the later part of the show. Put it to you this way, we actually ended up putting an Easter egg at the end of Impact Showdown. That's how heated things had got. So I'll recap on it briefly. All right, we're going to take a very brief commercial break, and then when I come right back, guys, as we told you at the beginning of the show, at the 2:30 mark, we're going to have special guest Lisa Snyder. She's going to join us, and we're going to go in depth for a little bit, and we're going to talk about what all has gone on with the Olympic Committee's decision to remove pro wrestling from the 2020 Olympics. Just has so many people in an uproar. And Lisa's going to try to offer you guys advice on what you can do to try to let your voices be heard if you definitely do not like what the committee is trying to do here. All right, so we'll take a very brief pause, and when we come right back, we'll be joined by our special guest. You're checking out the RCWR Show Weekend Edition, coming at you on February 23rd. 2013. Folks, we'll be coming right back in just about 3 minutes plus. Do hang tight. All right, welcome back to the weekend edition of the RCWR show. Black Avenger, a.k.a. the Black Ass Round. Lee Sanders coming at you now. All right, February 23rd, 2013. Hey, quick programming note. We got any MMA fans in the house? Because if we do, you know yours truly, I love MMA, and it's been a good minute since I have covered MMA for you guys. Last time we covered MMA, if I'm not mistaken, it was what was going down with Dave Bras Body. Was that the name he was going by? Batista? Well, we covered his MMA debut match, and that I had actually met a lot of great praise. A lot of folks were like, wow, didn't know you were in MMA, didn't know you could cover MMA like that. You should do it again. Well, we're going to do it again. We're going to do it Sunday night, immediately after the fallout from UFC 157. So make sure you join us for that special post-show. Chat rooms will be open. Phone lines will be open. So if you end up checking it out, you want to share your reactions to some of the fights you saw, you'll be more than welcome to call on in and share. All right, so I'm going to get ready and slide in my special guest at this time, and let me set her up properly for you all. And, you know, I'm actually very honored. You know, we've been on the air for a year. We've put out at least over 170 episodes, and we've interviewed a lot of people, but we've never had a female guest. So this is extra special for me, so it's definitely one I'm going to be remembering for quite some time. And she is the host of Live with Lisa, which is a really great radio show that you can hear. She basically covers sports, and she does it in a way that really, and I love this, she does it from a female's perspective. We know there's some of you women out there, you see some of the sports that us guys are checking out, and some of us just don't really have the patience to tell you all, well, you know, this is happening because of this, and, well, he made this move because, well, it's a foul because you know how it is, and we try to be patient with our ladies, but sometimes we just want to be left the hell alone so we can watch the game, right? Well, you know, she does this in a way where it's very nice, and she even tries to show a little bit of love to the guys out there. And let's go ahead and let's slide her in right now. Lovely Lisa, how you doing today?
Hi, I'm great. Thank you so much. I can't believe I'm the first female. That's a pretty big deal for me. Thank you.
Yeah, first female. Yeah, I like that. I definitely got to pick your brain on this. And, you know, this is part of our show, is part of our new year that we had laid out, which is reaching out more to the best minds that cover the sports. And, you know, this one, I literally had just got caught up to speed on what all was happening. But I understand that the wrestling, the Olympic Committee, they are trying to eliminate pro wrestling. I'd love it if you could just run right with it and let the listeners know what all's going on. And I know it has many in an uproar, even professional wrestlers, whether it be they work for WWE, TNA, or in the independent circuit. You know, they're getting in on this as well. And one of the most celebrities that I can think of, wrestling celebrities at that, Kurt Angle, who won an Olympic gold medal in the 1996 Olympics. You know, he's trying to lead a campaign and all that. Go ahead and give the listeners an update. Let them know what has been going on.
Well, thanks for that. You pretty much nailed it. There's an Olympic wrestler. His name right now escapes me because my notes aren't right in front of me. But, you know, wrestling has gone back to the very beginning. I think it was like AD 500, and it was originally part of the, you know, original Olympics. And then a little bit of time went by, and we have your modernized Olympics, and wrestling was a part of that in 1896, I believe. And so to get rid of something that was a part of the original format really doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I have a feeling that we have not heard the end of this. And because of so much backlash over the last week or two on the crazy idea of getting rid of wrestling, the vice president of the IOC has said, now calm down, media. You know, it's not a done deal yet. They're going to reconvene in May, and then they take a final vote in September. But the Professional Wrestling Organization, which is FILA, some pronounce it FILA, they haven't done a very good job of keeping wrestling at the forefront of sports, merely because they rested on their laurels. Now, no pun intended with the laurels that rest on the heads of Olympians, but that's pretty much how it's panned out. They figured wrestling has been a part of the Olympics since the very beginning, so why do we have to fight to keep it? It's always there. Now, the sad part is that if you go back to 1982 and you look at the college and youth wrestling, half of those Division I schools have dropped their programs. So maybe that's something that the IOC had looked at, you know, over a period of making their decision. But at the same time, 40,000 kids on the high school level have added themselves to the roster of wrestling. So there's a little bit of a problem here. Number one, the interest on a youth level has not gone away. But on a college level, when you file in the impact of Title IX, which is equality for females to have the opportunity to play in, participate in all sports, then you come into a little bit of a rift. And that is, well, if wrestling is not allowed for women because of Title IX, then they have to get rid of the program. So it beefs up football, it beefs up basketball, it beefs up hockey, you know, whatever the college seems to offer, and wrestling gets thrown to the wayside because football and basketball are huge draws for booster clubs, for alumni funds, and that's where a lot of the colleges and universities pull in their alumni dollars and their support dollars. So wrestling is not often a consideration for that. There's also a very interesting twist between the possibility that wrestling was going to be dropped versus the pentathlon. Now, if you look at the statistics as far as viewership and dollars, nearly half the viewers watched pentathlon versus wrestling, and versus half the dollars were made on pentathlon sponsorships versus wrestling. So why is wrestling being considered when it's such a huge economic draw and a fan favorite? So that's where you have to go even deeper and look to say, is there something suspect going on here? Well, somebody poked their nose into the IOC committee and the voting folks, and apparently there's some sort of relative who sits on the voting board who is involved with the director of the pentathlon. So there might lie our answer as to why the pentathlon is not voted out, but rather wrestling is. Now, if you also go back a couple of years, women's softball was also voted out of the 2016 Olympics. For wrestling, we're looking at the 2020 Olympics. So, you know, I was kind of in an outrage for the 2016 Olympics in women's softball. It wasn't as sexy enough, it wasn't as glamorous enough as women's volleyball or gymnastics or things like that. And so they figured not enough sponsorships, which happens a lot in female sports. But if people will say, Lisa, why do you think these sports are not as valid? Why do you think people aren't interested? And I said, well, maybe they would get interested if sponsorship was as equal to what the draw is, you know, for men's sports. I mean, unfortunately, it just doesn't happen for a lot of the women's sports, including basketball. But the hottest Olympic thing from a female standpoint is gymnastics. Gymnastics and swimming. Actually, swimming comes under gymnastics. Gymnastics, then swimming, or maybe gymnastics, beach volleyball, and then swimming are the three most female-watched and supported sports in the Olympics. Everything else just doesn't matter. So that was kind of the excuse for, you know, getting rid of softball. As far as wrestling, I got to tell you, I am scratching my head. There has to be a deeper meaning behind why the most fan-based, you know, sport, not to mention all the countries that participate in wrestling. I mean, just outside of the United States, you know, you've got Iran, Iraq, Turkey, and then with the, you know, the ending of the Cold War, you've got Uzbekistan, Azerbaijan, you know, all of these subcultures broken down from Russia. They're all interested in wrestling. They're bringing out the best of their country's athletes, and sometimes it may be the only event that their country gets to participate in. So there is a huge uproar, and I have been sitting here scratching my head all week wondering, why in the world wrestling? Why in the world wrestling? I just don't get it.
Yeah. When I first heard this, I'm like, okay, they must not have anything else better to do because you're going after something that's been around, like I said, a very, very long time. And, just to pick up what you were saying there earlier, and I couldn't agree with you more, there definitely needs to be, more support for women's sports. And it's so funny. As soon as you said basketball, I just think about how once the NBA finals are over, then it's time for the WNBA. Mm-hmm. And, it's kind of lost, and maybe that's because of the sponsorship. Maybe it's the sponsorships that's dropped. But I remember when it had first launched, those first 2-3 years.
Oh, it was huge.
Yeah.
Remember New York Liberty and Atlanta and Seattle? I mean, huge markets for women's national basketball.
And then it just, it's like,
poof,
just gone. It's like, okay. What can people do to try to let their voices be heard and tell the Olympic Committee that, they're making a huge mistake with the wrestling here?
Well, first of all, you can write to FILA, and anybody can look that up as to who the best, person for that is, whether it's community outreach or their marketing or PR committee, that, hey, they need to get off the stick, and do something about that. Another thing is to write directly to the Olympic Committee. I know that a lot of them train right down here, not far from where I am in Colorado Springs. I'm in Denver, so it's about an hour and change, away for a lot of the training to go on here for Team USA. So I would just say get on a writing campaign. I mean, emails can be filed and forgotten, but a letter that comes in, I mean, if they're swarmed with letters saying, can you do this? My son's been wrestling for years, or we support wrestling, and look at the national arena for wrestling and how big it is, and why are you considering getting rid of it? Do you need to truly dump one sport from Summer Olympics? Is it getting that much of a burden, to have a Summer Olympics? I mean, why the decision to dump any sport? If it worked in 2012, why can't, and it's going to work in 2016, why by 2020 do you need to get rid of it? Is there a change in funding? Is there a change in interest? I'm just curious why they have to get rid of any sport. I mean, I understand if you can't add a sport, but like somebody said, what was it? I think it was pretty funny, not archery, but it was something else. They're like, gee, I'm so glad that, this particular sport is allowed to stay, but wrestling has to go. And it was a very tongue-in-cheek comment. So I just don't understand why a sport has to be deleted at all, except for funding, advertising, space, maybe trying to put more athletes into fewer sports so the population of the athlete community goes up. I don't know. I really don't know. I find it not just puzzling, I find it disturbing, because now wrestling, which is, obviously a national pastime to watch on, pay-per-view, or you go to Vegas or MMA, and all these interesting kind of subtopics that have speared off or used wrestling as a platform, for doing other things. Now they'll say, well, it's an Olympic sport, and so we have to keep it. But now they'll say, well, it's not an Olympic sport anymore, so we're going to drop the dollars, we're going to drop the funding, we're going to drop the interest, and eventually it's something that, we'll say, gosh, I remember back in the day. And that's when you and I can remember back in 2013 when the IOC was looking to eliminate wrestling, which is the foundation of Olympic sports, period.
Well, I definitely think they're going about this the wrong way because, and before I say that, that's the one thing with pro wrestling, it's like there's so many countries, especially outside of North America, this is the only sport that they have to look forward to. Exactly. When it comes time for the Olympics, it's like, okay, you're representing our country, we're rooting you on. And, it does rattle me, but then the other thing that rattles me is, okay, the Olympic Committee, they really should have did the right thing, and they should have reached out to guys like Brock Lesnar, Bobby Lashley, Kurt Angle, all of these men. They wouldn't be where they are right now. They wouldn't have the success
UFC,
that they
Dana
have.
White. Dana White was
Dana
UFC.
White. Yeah.
I mean, this is well, that's why I'm thinking that there's some underlying story. There's a reason why they haven't reached out to them, and I don't know what it is. But maybe something will mysteriously rear its head down the road before before the next vote comes out in May.
We're definitely going to be paying attention to that very closely, and hopefully everybody out there, you've heard those links. Why don't you give them that information one more time? Let them know how they can get their voices heard.
Oh, absolutely. Well, they can go to FILA, it's F-I-L-A, which is the international organization that supports Olympic wrestling, or that supports wrestling in general. You can also go to Google the IOC, the International Olympic Committee, and write to them. I mean, literally put pen to paper, not just send something electronically, which can just be deleted. And then also you can talk or send your comments down to the U.S. Olympic Training Center in Colorado Springs, and just a continual pounding to the same people, and they'll eventually maybe say, you know what, we're getting a lot of flack here in the United States. Russia also really needs to stand up because they've held the bar for the last couple of years, and actually they are quite devastated. Unfortunately, their gymnastics did not fare very well. The United States kind of swiped that from them in this last Summer Olympics, which doesn't hurt my feelings. But Russia has a huge interest in wrestling, and for them to lose this sport in 2020, I think will be a big devastation for the country.
Definitely, indeed, yeah. Before I let you go, tell the folks about your radio show, and I think what you do, it's really awesome. Let them know about it.
Well, thank you. It's called Live with Lisa, and I have a website, which is livewithlisa1510.com. If you're in Denver or you want to stream it live anywhere you are, it's AM 1510 and FM 93.7. It's the only sports station out here that broadcasts on both AM and FM. I have a Twitter, which is @LisaSportsTalk, and my show is now, in fact, I was on the hour on Saturday mornings, and now I'm been promoted. I'm doing a 2-hour Super Sunday Sports Talk show at 8 a.m. Mountain, 10 a.m. Eastern every weekend on Sundays.
Wow, that's awesome. Like I said, we've done over 170 episodes, and we've interviewed a lot of people, but surprisingly, we never had a female guest, and I definitely want to take the time. Thank you for stopping by the show. A huge honor. I definitely would love to have you come on back again, and I think everything that you had said, very insightful, and folks, everybody listening, I really hope you had appreciated Lisa, everything that she had to say, as you brought up a lot of very valid points here, and this is definitely going to be a topic that we're just going to have to wait and see, and we can just only keep our fingers crossed and hope for the best.
I agree with you. I think all the support, notification, and emails or letters, as I always say, letters are so obsolete these days. So many people don't really use a pen and paper anymore to get their thoughts out. They just fire off an email and hope it hits and lands and doesn't get deleted. But I think letters, they've got to be opened. They've got to be read. And I think as many people as who are interested can show their support to keep wrestling a part of the Olympics, it could definitely make an impact. So write to your Olympic committee regionally, write to the Olympic Training Center down here in Colorado Springs. Google FILA, it's F-I-L-A, the international organization that supports wrestling, and make your voices heard, and you can make a difference.
Definitely. The one and only Lisa Snyder. Lisa, thank you so much for stopping by the show today. It means a lot.
Thank you for having me on. Have a great weekend.
All right, you too. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye. All right, boys and girls, that was the one and only Lisa Snyder from Live with Lisa. We're going to take a very brief commercial break, and then when we come right back, we'll go on ahead and we will cover the very latest and what all had went down on Smackdown. and we'll also cover latest in wrestling-related news. We're just getting started, folks. We'll be coming right back. I feel like some jams. How about you guys? I feel like playing a tune. Let's go ahead and play a tune. I'll come right back. You're listening to the weekend edition of the RCWR show. Hang tight. All right, weekend edition of the RCWR show's back. Black Avenger, a.k.a. the Black Azrael, Lisa Sanders here. Hey, did you miss our special guest, live with Lisa's own, Lisa Snyder? Oh, don't worry. You'll be able to catch it on the archives. That's right. Catch it on the download as soon as this episode is done that you're listening to live in progress right now. Be Kind Rewind. You'll be able to catch it. Very good stuff right there with Lisa Snyder. Truly appreciate you coming on to the show. Hope we can have you back sometime in the near future. Maybe the outcome of this whole wrestling committee fiasco, maybe it can all be cleared up by then. Very interesting shenanigans that's going on with that right now. All right, so let's talk about what had happened from Smackdown. It's my favorite part of the weekend edition of the RCWR show, where we cover the fallout from Friday Night Smackdown. You're not going to get coverage anywhere else. We know there's some of you out there. You love listening to the weekend edition because you get your fix of what all you missed, and this is definitely one of my favorite parts of the show. Well, you know, this was definitely the night of Jack Swagger. That's the best way I can recollect what all went down on SmackDown, as it's kind of funny, too, when you think about it, because you just see a solid week of Jack Swagger, Zeb Coulter, and what happened with SmackDown. Man, they had a great 5-star quality match there as Dolph wasn't even on the show, forgive me, folks. Jack Swagger had took on Randy Orton. Man, that was one badass match right there. A funny little moment had happened leading into this particular match, though. We actually saw Jack Swagger rub elbows with Wade Barrett, and Wade Barrett had told Swagger and Coulter that he agreed with all they were saying and to basically go out there and do whatever they needed to do with Alberto Del Rio. And Zeb Coulter was so funny. He's like, who are you? Where are you from? And Wade Barrett told him how he was from England, and Zeb said, well, respectfully, you're part of the problem. You know, you are just like everybody else in this country. You know, you are an illegal immigrant that took a job from an American, and quite honestly, you know, we need to send you back to your country too. And that was some hilarious stuff right there, as we just see Wade Barrett just looking on, and he just has this look on his face like, I know this man did not just say that to me. But we saw a damn good match there with Jack Swagger, Randy Orton. Jack Swagger, he picked up the win right there. We also saw Sheamus in action. He took on the intellectual savior, Damian Sandow. We did get a little bit of Divas action. That was okay. I couldn't wait for it to be over. It was tag team action. We saw Caitlyn and Layla as they teamed up to defeat Tamina and Asuka. We did see a very interesting promo with Randy Orton and Alberto Del Rio. Now, Alberto Del Rio, he had addressed the promo that Zeb Coulter and Jack Swagger had made on Monday Night Raw. And basically, Del Rio was saying, you know, hey, you want to sit up and talk about illegal immigrants coming to America and stealing jobs, education, Medicare, health care, whatever. Hey, Swagger, Coulter, it was immigrants that helped build America. So what the heck are you talking about, was Del Rio's message. And we actually ended up seeing Randy Orton, who came out, and he basically told Del Rio he wanted to get a crack at Jack Swagger. And Booker T, he would make that match. And as I said, we would later on in the main event see Jack Swagger take on Randy Orton. But once again, Friday Night SmackDown, just this whole week, has been nothing but Jack Swagger week. And, you know, I got to keep it real, man. You know, a lot of good stuff we've been seeing from Jack Swagger, but with that good comes bad. And in case you might have missed it, looks like Jack Swagger had got into a little bit of trouble after the Smackdown tapings out in Mississippi earlier this week. As y'all know, Smackdown is taped on Tuesday nights. Well, that wasn't the problem. It was after the Smackdown tapings as Jack Swagger left. Probably was trying to go to his hotel room for the night, or maybe he was trying to drive to the next city. In either case, he got pulled over by a police officer who had him abusing the speeding limit just by 10 miles per hour. And upon inspecting the vehicle further, he had found marijuana, and he was able to determine that Jack Swagger was intoxicated. So 3 misdemeanors right there is what Jack Swagger has. Now, Swagger had went to jail. His car was towed, but Swagger was able to get a friend to pick it up, and later on Swagger was released. Now, we have a new update for you guys as the Associated Press. They had recently picked up what all had went down, and they did a little bit more digging around of their own, and their report notes that Swagger, as I mentioned, was pulled over driving 10 miles per hour over the speeding limit, and it looks like if he is convicted, he faces fines of $188 for driving 10 miles over the speeding limit, $437 for a small amount of marijuana that he had on him, and $1,300 for a first DUI offense. Now, the DUI charge carries a mandatory court appearance, and he could lose his driver's license for 90 days. He could also face a maximum of 2 days in jail, but he can avoid all of that by meeting stipulations such as counseling. So this is definitely one that we're going to continue to be watching right here. And things just do not seem to be getting any better for Jack Swagger, as we're hearing the latest reports that Jack Swagger was scheduled to win the World Heavyweight title from Alberto Del Rio at this year's WrestleMania. But it looks like now the writers have been just scrambling, working late into the hours to try to come up with ideas. What those ideas are, we are not sure at this time, but one thing's for certain, it does not sound good for Jack Swagger, and unfortunately it doesn't sound good for Zepp Coulter. And we should be definitely watching this more closely right here. And it should be noted that if WWE does end up suspending Jack Swagger before that WrestleMania match that he's supposed to be having with Del Rio, he could be losing a big old payday of just over $250,000. Can you just imagine what you can do with $250,000? You can do a lot of stuff. You can pay off a school debt, take a vacation for a week. You can do a lot of stuff with $250,000. You know, this was definitely the hottest topic of the week, and I definitely had spoke my piece about this. I had did it in a very special YouTube piece, and if you haven't checked it out, I highly encourage you to go hop on over to our YouTube channel at the RCWR Show. Time to time, we post a lot of exclusive goodies. Time to time, you actually get to see me live in the flesh as I'll talk in front of a webcam. Check it out, some good stuff, especially what all I had to say. Been getting a couple of comments on it so far. And, you know, something that we would actually like to do for you guys, we want to show some of those people that went out of their way to leave us a comment on what all's been going on with Jack Swagger. Read some of the comments that had came, man. And what I want to do, I want to kick things off by mentioning one of our good buddies, Mackenzie Skies, who says, direct quote right here, I'm a Jack Swagger fan myself, and I think this is sad what has been going on. What was he thinking? And so close to WrestleMania, too. I would like Swagger to keep his push, but I feel it's not going to happen. Azim1591, he says, direct quote right here, ignorant move on Jack Swagger's part, ruined his chances of furthering his career for the moment. Good words right there. And if you want to continue to put in your comments, feel free to do so. good or bad. Let us know what you think about that. Now, this stuff that went down with Swagger, it meant a lot of heat from you guys, because this past Thursday night on Impact Showdown Radio, myself and Diamond K, we had just got done talking about TNA wrestling for at least an hour, and I knew it was going to be several days before I had Diamond K back with me, because if y'all been listening by now, you know Diamond K doesn't do a show with me on the weekends, not unless we're covering a post-show for a respected TNA or WWE pay-per-view. So I asked Diamond K right at the end of Impact Showdown Radio if he wanted to do a overtime segment and talk about what all had went down with Jack Swagger, and he said, yes, I definitely have been looking forward to talking about this. So we took a commercial break. We came right back, and we talked about it, and a lot of people, well, I won't say a lot of people, but there were a handful of people that were very critical of us talking about this, as the show that we have is supposed to be geared towards TNA. Now, I wanted to save this for today and bring it up. I did release a little Easter egg on Impact Showdown Radio towards the end, but I just want to follow up on that. Depending on what goes down in wrestling for the week, there are unfortunately going to be some topics that are going to be so heavy, so mainstream, that it would be really hard to not acknowledge them. And I think we showed you guys that primarily rely on us to just cover a specific company on whatever show, whether we're just doing WWE on Tuesday or we're doing TNA on Thursday. We know there's that core audience of you that just expects to hear about your favorite promotion. But there will be times that we'll be sitting up and we'll be covering something that is kind of out of the ordinary. And I think the proper respect was shown to our Impact Showdown Radio listeners by letting them know that, okay, well, show's over, but we're going to go into overtime. Because really at that point, especially if it's a slow week, and this was a case where TNA, not really that much was happening in wrestling-related news for them. So originally the show should have been over at an hour, but we wanted to talk about Jack Swagger. That type of stuff is going to happen, guys. For those of you that's been listening to us long enough, you all don't even really look at Impact Showdown and the RCWR show being two different shows, because you hear me mainly, so you just kind of go, go check out Lee, or you just go RCWR show Tuesday, Thursday. You don't really separate the two. And we like that. We know there's that core audience of you that, you really don't care. You like all the wrestling promotions. Some of you probably appreciated the content that we had covered. But I'm not going to tell you guys sorry. It's not going to happen again, because I don't know what the future holds. That type of stuff is just going to happen from time to time. One guy was very critical. He said that our episode from Thursday night was just all over the place. And myself and Diamond, we listened to the episode back, and upon picking the brains of a couple other listeners, we were able to determine that basically this guy was just upset that we were talking WWE. So, hey, shit like that's going to happen. That's all I got to say. I'm not going to apologize. But I just thought I would just do this Keep It Real segment just to set the record straight. And, for anybody that's listening, everybody, and we know we have tons of listeners, if there is ever a problem that you have with a particular show, if you feel we didn't really hit a home run for that week, let us know. Let us know what we can do to improve, and we will definitely work on it. We are so receptive to receiving criticism, be it good, be it bad. We're always receptive to it. That's the only way we know how to improve our product, right? That's how it goes in life. All right, and on that note, that's going to do that. All right, so let's talk about some more stuff that had happened in wrestling-related news. While staying on the topic of Jack Swagger, it looks like idiot political host Glenn Beck had took some very heated shots at the WWE this week and at wrestling fans. And you guys should be very pissed off by this guy. This guy sat up and called WWE wrestling fans idiots and that they're stupid because of the Zeb Coulter character. Now, I bullshit you not, boys and girls. This is something that I definitely was pretty rattled when I had heard this. Now, keep in mind, he also had Rip the Company and Linda McMahon, and it was very critical. Now, WWE, they actually invited Glenn Beck to this coming Monday's Raw. And the official statement, it reads as follows. WWE has extended an invitation to talk show host and political commentator Glenn Beck to appear live this Monday on Raw in response to a segment that aired on The Blaze TV. In the segment, Beck references WWE as stupid wrestling people when criticizing a recent WWE storyline involving WWE characters heavyweight champion Alberto Del Rio, Jack Swagger, and Zeb Coulter. WWE is giving Beck the opportunity to address our 14 million weekly viewers and our global fan base, as he believes we are offending our conservative fans with this storyline. Now, similar to other television shows and feature films, WWE is in the entertainment business, creating fictional characters that serve as protagonists and antagonists to create compelling and relevant content for our audience. It is important to incorporate current events into our storylines. WWE is creating a rivalry centered on a topical subject that has varying points of view. This storyline was developed to build the Mexican-American character Del Rio into a hero, given WWE's large Latino base, which represents 20% of our audience. Now, Zeb Coulter, Jack Swagger, they would actually release a video, and I broke it down in audio format for you guys. I want to let it play. It's a 5-minute clip, but man, the stuff that was said on here, if you have not heard this yet, you're in for a treat, boys and girls. Go ahead and play this for you guys right now. Enjoy.
My name is Zeb Coulter.
And I am Jack Swagger.
And we are real Americans. We believe in the First Amendment. We say the things that need to be said, whether people want to hear them or not. We are here to prevent this once great country from eroding into bankruptcy, both financially and morally. We believe in some very simple principles. We believe that if you live in this country, you shouldn't speak Spanish, Chinese, Arabic, German, or hell, even Pig Latin.
You should speak English.
We believe that real Americans are struggling to find jobs because people from other countries are sneaking across our borders and are willing to work for next to no money. They're stealing jobs from real Americans.
Thieves.
And we believe that if you sneak across our borders and are in our country illegally, then you should leave. And if you don't want to leave, well, that's where Jack and I come in.
We will make you leave.
And we believe that the world champion of WWE, Alberto Del Rio, is a perfect example of the problems that plague our country, which is why Jack Swagger is going to beat Alberto Del Rio at WrestleMania, win the world title, and begin to set things right in this country. But Jack won't be alone. He will have an army of support behind him.
We, the people.
Hey, Glenn Beck, what you just saw is what we call a promo. It's a scene we record to elicit a positive or negative reaction from our fans. See, we are entertainers.
My name is Jake Hager.
And I'm Wayne Cowan. We are performers for WWE. Zeb Coulter is the character I play. Jack Swagger is the character Jake plays. We aren't in the political business or the immigration business. We are in the entertainment business. Everything we do as our characters is designed to tell stories. Right now, the story we're telling is that Zeb Coulter and Jack Swagger are using the current, relevant, and topical story of immigration to target the WWE World Champion, Alberto Del Rio. Also a character played by my friend Jose Rodriguez. In our story, we are the antagonist, and Alberto is the protagonist. Glenn Beck, you recently referred to WWE as stupid wrestling people. Really, Glenn? Seriously, really? By implication, you are referring to the 14 million stupid wrestling fans who are watching our shows every week in America and our global audience in over 145 countries. 20% of our audience is Hispanic, 22% is African American, 35% is female, and we equally reach all major age groups, including 25% over the age of 50. Being in the television business, Glenn, you should know the popularity of Monday Night Raw. Monday Night Raw has been on the air for over 20 years and is the #1 show on USA Network. We have about 60 characters on our show, a lot more than, say, NCIS or Glee, but we're not that much different. Some of our characters are really likable and some are detestable, good guys and bad guys. We don't use guns and we don't depict murder or rape, typically seen on primetime dramas. Our program is PG. We look forward to continuing to tell provocative, funny, dramatic, and sometimes controversial stories with characters of all backgrounds and beliefs. Many of your followers are WWE fans, and they understand the difference between reality and entertainment. Are you out of touch with your audience, Glenn? Or are you just a stupid political commentator? Mr. Beck, we cordially invite you to Monday Night Raw in Dallas at the American Airlines Center this Monday, where you can deliver a 5-minute, unedited rebuttal to our global TV audience and a sold-out crowd of 12,000 stupid wrestling fans. So now, let's get back in character. You see, real Americans like Zeb Coulter and Jack Swagger won't stand for the systematic, methodical destruction of the country our forefathers built. Alberto Del Rio is part of this problem, and we're going to fix it.
We, the people.
And there you have it, folks. That, I don't know about you, but when I had originally saw this clip, I was just smiling my ass off. I mean, I got to give mad props to Wayne there. I mean, I can't wait. I literally cannot wait to see how Glenn Beck is going to respond to this. Now, the invitation was sent, and the little crap that he did say that was in print basically said he has to be everywhere else but there, being basically he's not coming to WWE Raw. But I can't wait to actually watch his show on Monday and see how he responds to this little bit of news. I think even he would have to admit that he didn't do enough thorough research. The only thing he was able to jump on like a fly does to manure is, this Zeb Coulter character who's coming off very racist and is just giving a huge black eye to the Tea Party. He's mocking them. And, I just think he just ran with that, and he just wanted to use that as a platform to bash WWE, wrestling fans, Linda McMahon, and her campaign. And I mean, honestly, let's be for real. Linda McMahon, she's not even going to be running again. She tried to go for that daggone Senate seat twice, and she lost. She's done. She is just stick a fork in it, D-O-N-E, done. She's not doing anything else as far as politics go, at least not from what we've been able to tell. She's just quietly been tucked away, hasn't really been seen since she gave her concession speech, okay? So, this is a topic that just comes up time and time again. And unfortunately, no matter how advanced we get in our technology, no matter how advanced we get in social media, where we're able to find out all the juicy details about what's going on with a wrestling promotion behind the scenes, or, oh, well, this is rehearsed. It doesn't matter. There's always just going to be that core set of people like Glenn Beck that just has to take a big old crap on wrestling. They deem it as stupid people wrestling. Let's be for real. A lot of people, and, we've even gotten it on our show from time to time. We will have the occasional caller that will just call into the show just to say that wrestling's fake. And it's like, who are you telling? We know it's fake. It's scripted. So are your favorite shows, Law and Order, Kevin Bacon and the Following, Lost, Scandal, all your favorite shows. The scripts are written, It's just about what you like to do on your favorite pastime. The same group of people that like to sit up and they like to crap on wrestling will be the same people that will like to sit up and they'll like to crap on those that read comic books. I mean, it's just really stupid when you think about it. And I actually had watched Glenn Beck just go on this 17-minute tirade bashing the WWE and even had the audacity of bringing up a wrestling fan's education level. Yes, he took it that far. Now, I'm not expecting Mr. Glenn Beck or his people to be listening to this show, but, not to toot my own horn or anything, but, I did something that my family wasn't able to do. I did something that my mom and dad were not able to do. I was able to not only complete high school and graduate, I actually went on to college, and that's the thing. I chose to walk away from college, but I actually made it to college, and, I took a year's worth of courses, and I wanted to travel. I wanted to go see the world for a little bit, and, I'm definitely happy to say that with great family support, I'm actually going to be going back to college. If not before the year is out, I will be going next year to resume my education. And I don't consider myself to be stupid. Mr. Glenn Beck, would I be one of those people that is a stupid wrestling fan? I don't know. I'm not tooting my own horn here. I'm a self-entrepreneur. I've built my own website. I have my own little small graphic company, and I'm a webmaster. I produce my own radio show. Does that make me a person of lower intellect, Mr. Glenn Beck? My message, Glenn Beck, get your facts straight. Because clearly you are sadly mistaken. This is not the 1950s. This is not the 1970s. We are in the 21st century. It's 2013. Take your time and actually Google what the hell you're getting ready to talk about. My God, I've only done radio for one freaking year, and even I have the freaking common sense to know that if there's a freaking topic I'm not really sure about, I know that Google is my best friend, so at least I come off knowing like I know what the hell I'm talking about. Can I get an amen on that, brothers and sisters? All right. That's enough of that. Let's go ahead. Let's take one last commercial break. Then when we come right back, I want to dip into a little bit of what Ring of Honor has been up to in the news-wise, and then hook you guys up with the very latest on what all is happening in entertainment news. And, of course, my favorite segment of the show, today's birthdays. You're checking out the weekend edition of the RCWR show. Coming right back.
For news you can use, like us on Facebook during this commercial break at Infinity One Productions.
Hey guys, Black Avenger Lee Sanders here. By chance, did you miss out on a recent episode of the RCWR show or Impact Showdown Radio? Or maybe you want to rewind it back to a classic episode? Well, we got an app for that. We want to tell you about it. It's the podcast app, and it's available in the iTunes store. All you have to do is download it. It's a free app, and then from there, just type in the keywords RCWR Show or Impact Showdown Radio, and you'll be able to subscribe to us. It's that easy, as you'll be able to play and download all our episodes as you are on the go. Episodes available for all your respected iDevices. Now, for those of you that do not have that, and you're outside of the iDevices, you have Android, smartphone, etc., we got an app for you all. It's the Stitcher app. And with that, you'll be able to play all our episodes respectfully. So check that out. Stitcher, new and smart way to play internet radio.
Oh, yeah. We are back. Black Avenger Lee Sanders. All right. We've taken our last commercial break. Let's have at it. So let's hook you guys up with the very latest and what all's been going on in entertainment news. Hey, we got any Star Wars fans out there? Well, you guys are going to be in for a very, very, very special treat. It looks as though Mark Hamill is going to be coming back to the franchise to play Luke Skywalker, according to a report by Entertainment Tonight. Now, Mark Hamill, that guy has just been a phenomenal voice actor. I mean, of course, when you think of Mark Hamill, yeah, we think of Luke Skywalker, but, man, we got to go where it counts the most, man. We got to go with the Joker from Batman, the animated series. I mean, he did some phenomenal work right there, but to hear that Mark Hamill is possibly going to be coming back, I don't know about you all, but I'm actually really relishing in this idea. I think it's about damn time we see Luke Skywalker come on back. Now, it should be noted that as much as he wants to come back and he really doesn't know what all is going on with a storyline, but from what he's kind of able to gather right now, it kind of seems as if maybe he would be like this super overlord Jedi who basically has offsprings running around, so maybe the focus would kind of be on them and he would kind of be in the background shadowing them. But he noted that as much as he would like to come back, what's going on with Harrison Ford, what's going on with Billy D. Williams, what's going on with everybody that had made the initial Star Wars trilogy so memorable. And he also pointed out he doesn't want for this new trilogy of Star Wars films to be all dark and gritty like the last three that we had got, especially that last one. I don't care what anybody says, though. I thought the last Star Wars Episode 3, I thought that was pretty freaking phenomenal. Now, speaking of Harrison Ford, there's a report going around by Fox News Latino that Harrison Ford will be back to play Cowboy Han Solo, and this guy swears that he has triple-checked his legitimate sources. So, hey, I don't know about that. And it looks like Carrie Fisher has actually signed up to return as Princess Leia. So we got some very, very interesting names that are coming out of these new batch of Star Wars trilogies that's going to be coming out. Of course, if you had missed it, George Lucas, he had sold his Star Wars franchise to Disney. And, man, did he make a lot of money off of that. I know some fans were a little upset about this. He mainly did this so that he could see the legacy continue on, and he wants to be able to just kick on back and watch as a fan and see how a new company, how a new team would be able to approach this. And with Star Trek's J.J. Abrams at the helm of directing these trilogies, no doubt it should be a pretty good movie. All right, and in other entertainment news for you guys, it looks like Elvis Costello is going to be releasing a studio album with The Roots. It's going to be coming out on April 20th. We don't know the name of the new album just yet. Well, we do know that album will be dropping on April 20th, which is also the same day as Record Store Day. Now, Questlove, he revealed to NYU Local that during a couple of jam sessions with Costello on the studio for Jimmy Fallon's show, it had resulted in them making an album, as Questlove told Elvis, hey, we're really having such a great flow, why don't we make a record together? And one track turned into four. Next thing you know, they have a whole freaking album. Now, I got some new news for you guys, as he gave some insight into other projects that he's going to be working on. For you Al Green fans, looks like Questlove has already begun work with Al Green on his next studio album. Remember that Lay It Down album that had came out a couple of years ago? That was a phenomenal album, too. I mean, that had Al Green really go back to his roots, I thought. If you haven't checked that album yet, you want to. Great stuff right there. He's also going to be doing some stuff with comedian Amy Schumer on a special. And let's not forget, he's also been working just very hard on D'Angelo's long-anticipated new album, which last he reported was 99.9% complete. I'll believe it when I see it, but hey, if Axl Rose can release Chinese Democracy, maybe anything can happen right here. Who knows? Got some Trent Reznor news for you guys. Trent Reznor's latest project, How to Destroy Angels, are planning on a string of tour dates for April, adding to their already confirmed appearance at both shows of Coachella. They'll set out the first weekend of Coachella and wrap up on April 29th in New York. Now, though the band says these dates are the only shows for now, they did hint that some other announcements were coming soon that would affect the tour. And for you 9 Inch Nails fans, in case you might have missed it on a previous weekend edition of the RCWR show, we did tell you all that a 9 Inch Nails Greatest Hits compilation is due out, I believe, next year. And possibly we might get a new studio album of 9 Inch Nails the year after. But for now, this is pretty much the year for How to Destroy Angels, as they're soon going to be releasing a full LP. And in other entertainment news, in case you missed it, Conan O'Brien is set to host the White House Correspondents' Dinner. That'll be taking place on April 27th. Now, remember, the last time Conan O'Brien did this, it was for President Bill Clinton. So, that should be pretty memorable right there. And Beyonce, I know we got some Beyonce fans. It looks like the latest documentary, Life is But a Dream, that had aired on HBO, the premiere of it did an impressive 1.8 million viewers. Talk about record ratings. That's right. Now, if you missed it, it had aired last Saturday, and it looks like this has been the largest audience for an HBO documentary since Nielsen had changed the way it measures viewerships back in 2004. And Life is But a Dream, to sum it up, it basically had topped Spike Lee's 2006 miniseries on Hurricane Katrina. Remember that, folks? When the levee broke, that was one hell of a documentary that Spike Lee had did. But Beyonce's had even surpassed that. And her special ended up pulling in more viewership than Oprah's own network that had aired earlier that night, as it had only did 1.3 million viewers. Remember, she did an interview last Saturday, only did 1.3 million viewers. Way to go, Beyonce. Just goes to show you, that sister knows how to pull in some huge numbers. I know we got some Robert Plant fans, Led Zeppelin fans. It looks like Robert Plant has hinted, as far as a Led Zeppelin reunion goes, he's got nothing to do in 2014. Now, after their tantalizing one-off gig in 2007, Robert Plant, of course, him, Jimmy Page, John Paul Jones, they all had reunited recently for that new movie/CD from that one-off concert that they had did at the O2 Arena out in London a couple of years back. And this is exactly what he had to say, Robert Plant, recently in a special Australian version of 60 Minutes. He said they don't say a word. They're quite contained in their own world, and they leave it to me. I'm not the bad guy. You need to see the Capricorns. I've got nothing to do in 2014. So should be very interesting to see what could happen with that. You know, honestly, if Led Zeppelin were to get back together, just reading everything I've been able to read on Robert Plant, because I've been a huge fan of his for many years, I would suspect that if Robert's going to hook up with Led Zeppelin, they're going to have to put out a new studio album to support whatever tour that they might end up doing. That's what I would suspect. I don't know about you guys. I'm just thinking about the countless interviews that he's given over the years, and he's going on record saying he doesn't want to be walking around like a dinosaur. He basically doesn't want to be like some acts that don't know when to hang it up and just continues to sing the same songs over and over and over, and there's no studio album of new material to support them going out on tour. So just keep that in the back of your mind. It should be interesting to see what's going to be going down next year. Of course, Robert Plant, he is currently busy at work, working up on a follow-up album to his Band of Joy album. Remember, he had reformed that band there, and that album did phenomenally well. He's putting the finishing touches on his new studio album right now, which is expected to see a spring, possibly summer release. And for you Slayer fans, it looks like Slayer drummer Dave Lombardo, he's not going to be joining the Metal Act on their upcoming Australian tour following a disagreement with fellow band members about the band's finances. Now, Lombardo, he had apologized to fans on Facebook that he was going to not be attending their Australian tour due to events that led to his removal from that tour, saying, direct quote here, "Saddened and to be honest, I am shocked by the situation." Now, last year, Lombardo has said that he discovered that 90% of Slayer's tour income was being deducted as expenses, including fees to management, costing the band millions and leaving them about 10% to split 4 ways. Now, while he and bassist/singer Tom Herrera hired auditors to figure out what happened, Lombardo says he was never allowed to see any of the information obtained. Now, another direct quote right here from Lombardo, he says, "I spent Christmas and New Year holidays realizing I had toured all over the world in 2012, but yet had not been paid, except for a small advance, or provided a proper accounting for a full year's sweat and blood." He even added that he was told that he wouldn't be paid until he signed a long-form contract that didn't tell him how much management would be paid and stipulated he couldn't see any of the band's financial documents or give any interviews or make statements about the band. He calls it a gagging order. That's how he's looking at it. We'll continue to follow this story more closely for you guys. Hey, we got any Alice in Chains fans? You know, we talked about it a couple of weeks ago, that new Mad Season repackaged Above album. It's going to be coming out in April 2nd to be exact. Well, looks like there is a new track that is floating around right now. We'll actually make it be available on our Facebook page as soon as we go off the air. The name of the track is called Locomotive. And it is one of the first tracks that was intended for a second album. But remember there, where we got Pearl Jam's Mike McCready, Screaming Trees, Barrett Martin, Walkabout's John Baker, Alice in Chains' Lane Staley. Great album they put out with Above. They struggled there to go on tour to support it. They were supposed to go back into the studio, work on another album. Didn't quite pan out. Couple of loose, unreleased tracks have been floating around as a result of that, but it looks like we're going to be seeing a repackaged version of this 1994 album, and should be very interesting. Of course, as we said a couple of weeks ago, we'll definitely be reviewing this for you guys on a future episode, but definitely check the song out. We'll make it be available on our Facebook page. It's called Locomotive. I actually listened to a little bit of it, and it actually sounds pretty damn good. Hey, before we go, we got to show some love to Ring of Honor Wrestling. We almost have forgot about it. It looks like they're going to be returning to the Hammerstein Ballroom and Grand Ballroom in New York on April 5th and 6th for the Supercard of Honor 7 and a Ring of Honor Wrestling TV taping, respectively, that will be later shown in New York's in the New York area. That'll be New York's first Ring of Honor taping. Now, matches that's been announced so far looks like a pretty freaking solid card. We got current champion, Ring of Honor World Heavyweight Champion Kevin Steen. He'll be there. The World Television Champion Adam Cole. The World Tag Team Champions Mark and Jay Briscoe. American Wolves Davey Richards and Eddie Edwards. Red Dragons Bobby Fish and Cal O'Reilly. Unbreakable Michael Elgin. Jay Lethal. BJ Whitmore. Caprice Coleman and Cedric Alexander. Scum Steve Corneo and Jimmy Jacobs. Charlie Haas, Roderick Strong, ACH, Matt Tavern. Now, of course, this is subject to change, but looks like this is pretty much going to be the official card that we can expect for those events that's going to be coming up. Just thought I'd mention that right before we go off the air. All right, so you know what time it is. It's my favorite part of the show. We always got to close out the show by mentioning today's birthdays. We got to show some love to Dakota Finning. She turns 19. You remember her. She was in 2001's I Am Sam. We also got to show some love to Niecy Nash, Reno 911 actress and host of Stout Network's Clean House. She turns 43 today. W.E.B. Du Bois, writer, believed in black nationalism and Pan-Africanism. Today is his birthday. Kristen Davis, she is 48 years old. You guys know her best as one of the stars from HBO's Sex in the City. Emily Blunt, she turns 30 years old. She is the English actress best known for her roles in The Adjustment Bureau and The Devil Wears Prada. Perez Hilton, he turns 35 years old. Remember, he started one of the most popular celebrity news blogs in history at PerezHilton.com. We got to show some love to Home Improvement's Patricia Richardson, TV wife of that show. She turned 62 years old. And let's give one more to you guys. Johnny Winter, white-haired rock blues guitarist with brother Edgar. He turns 69. Johnny Winter. Folks, that is going to do it. Hey, we still have a jam-packed solid weekend planned for you all. If you are a huge MMA fan, you want to make sure that you join us later tonight, immediately after the fallout from UFC 157. We're going to do a special episode of the RCWR post-show. Chat room will be open. Phone lines will be open. If you end up watching the event, you are more than welcome to call in, share your thoughts about the event. For everybody else, definitely join us this Tuesday night at 11 p.m. Eastern. Myself and Diamond K will cover the full fallout from what you might have missed from WWE Raw and the very latest in wrestling-related news. Is there an episode you might have missed? I know quite a few of you have missed our Bruno Sammartino interview. That's just one of many solid episodes that you can check out now in the archive section at blogtalkradio.com/the RCWR show. Hey, want to check it out on iTunes? You can do just that. Maybe you want to check it out on Zune? You can do that too. Just type in the keywords, the RCWR show. Episodes also available on Stitcher for all your respective portable devices outside of iPod, all iDevices. Check it out, Stitcher, newest smart way to play internet radio. All right, boys and girls, I had a blast doing this today. Let's do this again. We'll see you all in a couple of hours for our UFC 157 post show. Remember, immediately after it goes off the air, just hop on over, check us out. We'll cover the full card. For those of you not able to watch the event tonight, we will be covering the event at our website at infinityoneproductions.com. We'll provide you all with live results every 2 to 4 minutes. So make sure that you check that out. All right, everybody, be safe, be kind to one another, folks. We'll see you next time around. Take care.